So the spot Ethereum ETFs go live next week, and in this video I'm going to explore what that could mean for price action both on Ethereum and a few altcoin setups. So let's get into it. So starting with the news then, and as I say, the Ethereum spot ETFs are going live next week, Tuesday the 23rd of July. So as you can see here, the SEC has greenlit at least 3 funds to enter the market that day on Tuesday, although it's believed that a total of 8 Ethereum ETFs will launch simultaneously. The instruments follow the footsteps of the 11 trading spot Bitcoin ETFs, having accumulated over $54 billion in assets under management since launching in January. Bitcoin has soared 47% this year. So are we going to see a similar reaction to the Ethereum ETFs? Well, let's go back and take a look at the charts, because it wasn't plain sailing when the Bitcoin ETFs went live. Let's just take a little look back in time. So if we go to the daily time frame, this was back when the Bitcoin ETFs went live back on the 11th of January of this year. And as you can see, we had a 20% correction from 48.7K down to 38.5K when we bottomed on Tuesday, the 23rd of Jan. So are we going to see a similar reaction to Ethereum when they go live next week? Let's be interesting to see. Let's start with a bit of TA on Bitcoin though. If we take a look at the weekly, we are looking like we're going to secure that weekly candle close back above 60.5K, which was an important level of resistance, which we seem to blast through, and back above the weekly moving average 21. Nice bounce of the RSI 50 as well. So far so good, particularly on the higher time frames. However, if we take a look at the daily, the only thing that does give me a little bit of concern is if we take a fib from the most recent high down to the lows, you can see we are right up against that 618 on the fib retracement. So a very logical place for a potential lower high. And if you remember, a lot of this move was based off of the Donald Trump news, the attempted assassination last weekend. So very news driven rally. There is a chance that it could peter out. We may well have topped on Wednesday. We'll have to see. At the moment, this level of 63.3 holding very nicely. I talked about this level on Monday being potential resistance. As I say, it was the start of this downtrend from the beginning of July. However, we blasted through it on Monday, and as you can see, we are now holding it as decent support. So let's see where we go. If we drop from there, we have also got the moving average 21 at 61.5K, and of course the daily range lows at 60K. So I think any dip down into sort of 61, 62K is probably a very nice dip buying opportunity. Get back below 60K, then I think we are potentially heading lower. We may well be heading down to that 52K that everyone has their eyes on. So let's see what happens over the weekend. If we move on to Ethereum then, going on to the higher time frames, again, back above the moving average 21, pretty decent weekly candle close. It's looking like, although of course we do still have a couple of days to go. Again, nice bullish divergence and bounce off the RSI 50. So on the weekly time frame, again, looking good. However, again, if we take a look at the fib from the top to the most recent rally, you can see we've tagged the 618 on the fib retracement. So again, a pretty logical place for a potential lower high if we are going to continue the downtrend and maybe tag 2500. If we were to do that in terms of a retracement, you are looking at a 30% retracement, which would, as I say, match the Bitcoin retracement we had back in January due to the spot ETFs being launched. So we'll see if it's a similar reaction or not. In terms of the daily time frame on Ethereum, not really too much to talk about. We had that push on Monday. We've not really done much since. Again, as I said, it was very news driven rally, so there is a chance that it is going to peter out over the weekend. In terms of a retracement, we've got a nice support level here at 3251, which we have flipped previous resistance, hopefully now flipped to support. We've got the daily moving average 21 in and around that area of 3250 as well. So again, much like with Bitcoin, if we get a drop down to 61, 62K, and we got a drop in Ethereum down to the 3250s, then I think they are good potential dip buying opportunities should we get them. Again, if we drop below that, then we're looking like back down to 2900s. If we lose this level on the weekly time frame of 2850, then that is very bad news indeed, and we're going to see 2500. But as I say, one step at a time, 1 week at a time, we'll see if we get a bullish catalyst or a sell-off when the ETH ETFs go live next week. Moving on to altcoins then, a quick look at the total two. So on the weekly time frame, I've spoken about this for a number of weeks. Talked about the potential bearish scenario of losing 940 billion and having a breakdown. But as you can see, the following week, which was last week, we rallied straight back above resistance, and now hopefully flip to support. So looking pretty good for altcoins in terms of the, across the market. Individual coins are obviously going to perform better than others. In terms of Bitcoin dominance and ETH BTC, though, nothing interesting to talk about, unfortunately. ETH BTC has just sort of gone flatline over the past 5, 6, 7 weeks, and Bitcoin dominance just continues to gradually grind up. So nothing too much interesting to talk about there. However, some potential altcoin trading setups that I did go over on Monday, and the opportunities are still there. So starting with ADA or Cardano, you can see we've rejected the weekly moving average 21, which isn't a great sign. However, if we take a look at the fact that we have deviated back inside this upper range, weekly candle close above, we're now back retesting support of the weekly range low. That is a potential good area for a bounce. As you can see, we're trying to hold the daily range lows as well as support. So you might want to hold off till the end of the day, wait for this daily candle close. If we do get a daily candle close back or holding above the daily range low of 42.2 cents, then I think that is a good trigger for a long. As I say, we've had the impulse, we've had the pullback, holding support. We've got a green trend bar on the LT trend momentum indicator. We're above the RSI 50. As I say, we're retesting support. We're just above the daily moving average as well. So I think that is a pretty good area for a trade if you get that entry signal of a daily close back above or holding above 42.2 cents. And of course, invalidation would just simply be a daily close below the daily range low. You could also use the daily moving average 21 as your invalidation as well. So that's only about 3.5–4%, still not a bad stop loss. And in terms of your risk reward, 22% back up to that daily range high of around 51.5 cents is also in and around the weekly mid-range as well. Moving on to Injective. So unfortunately, this one's already moved, but if you did get into it on Monday, then congratulations, should be in a nice bit of profit. If we take a look at the weekly time frame, so I talked about a deviation back inside this weekly level of $21.50. If we go to the daily, I talked about waiting for the confirmation of getting a daily close back within the daily range low of $22.50, and then playing the deviation. And as you can see, that's what happened on Monday. Nice daily close. We even got a retest of the daily range low Tuesday morning, and off it went. So if you did jump into that, nice 20% gain on that. We're now in and around that daily mid-range. We'll obviously have to see what happens with BTC and Ethereum. If they continue to hold and even rally, then you are going to get that TP2 up at the daily range high. Of course, if we get a bit of a pullback, then you might be able to enter, if you didn't get into this trade, maybe around these candle tops here at around $23.50. Lastly then, Matic, again, this one, like ADA, is still available to enter. So weekly time frame, as again, deviation of this weekly level of support around 51.8 cents. Weekly candle closed back above last week, and now we're hoping to hold it as support this week. If we go to the daily, you can see we're trading just slightly below it. So again, you might want to either wait for the weekly candle close to confirm that we hold it as support, or have your stop loss maybe below these wicks here down at 49 cents, which would be fairly not too bad, about 5.5%, which isn't too bad at all. Or again, you might want to wait for the daily candles to get back above the daily moving average 21. Now, we did get a nice entry, as you can see here on Monday. It was looking pretty good. You got the retest on Tuesday, zip back up, but as you can see, lost momentum and just sort of died out. So as I say, probably want to wait for either the daily candle close to get back above the daily moving average 21 and then use that as your invalidation, or wait for the weekly candle close to ensure that we hold the weekly level as support. In terms of your TPs, as I said before, the daily level of 57.3 cents is probably a good TP1. That's about 10% from the weekly level. And then TP2 would be the daily retest of the daily range low up here at 64 cents. And then of course you can take your profits there, wait to see if we deviate back inside the daily range low, and then open a new trade back up to the daily range highs of 76 cents. And of course, when Ethereum does well, Matic usually does well as well. So depending on how the ETH ETF rollout goes next week, Matic could be in for a good week. So definitely one to watch out for as we go into next week. So hope you enjoyed the video. Drop in the comments below what you think is going to happen next week with the ETH ETFs and Bitcoin. Are we going to see 52k, or are we going to shoot up to new all-time highs over the next couple of months? Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.